the deal, y'all. We're up at TNN Trap News Network, back in the same, like, cracking the same, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe for more of this good content we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. Good news you can use. Good knowledge, though. You ain't finna get nobody's college, though, big dog. Like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you tap in with that tap in for everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. Good news you can use. Good knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, man. RichTrapHouse.com. Get into that, but we ain't finna hold y'all. We finna jump right into ADAM22 firing Bricc Baby. Let's get into this. Let's go.
About the Bricc Baby situation, there was some stuff that he said on stream, or not on stream, but on a jail call to his girl while I was away. I addressed it in the video, and I guess I'm bringing it to the table right now so we can kind of have a conversation about it. What was you guys' thoughts on this piece that I put out?
Well, my first thought was that I understood what you were saying when your confusion was like, damn, when I talk to you on the phone, where's this energy?
Right.
And then the next day you have to hear about it through third parties and publicly. I can understand your frustration there. And I think Bricc is probably just in a feeling kind of desperate, you know what I mean? Like his back's against the wall. The amount of money it costs to fight cases of this magnitude are fucking crazy. And, you know, he's got, what, 5 kids? Like more? Four kids?
Okay.
He take care of more than that, though. He has, like, a lot of people he take care of. So, you know, the financial thing is probably really stressful. I feel bad that I can't do more for him. I already have, like, I put about $100 a month to the side for my partners in jail, for Lil C, for Norm, for Ronnie Alma. It's not that much, you feel me? But it's what I can afford. So on my next paycheck, I'm going to shoot Bricc another note.
So you be talking crazy about niggas, and all you can afford to send your homie in jail is $100. But you got the nerve to talk about anybody's financial situation. You could barely afford to feed yourself, let alone feed the homies, and you got... All right. Okay.
That's what I can do. I wish I could have more money for him.
For sure. And definitely, I think Friday we're going to do a music stream / whatever stream, just talking and stuff. And we're going to basically give that money to Bricc. And we're also plotting on some t-shirts, some free Bricc Baby t-shirts, so that we can raise some more money for him in that regard. I guess basically, like, I was trying to prompt a conversation with that video about the fact that, you know, I feel like I'm in kind of a weird spot because of the fact that, you know, he got locked up. There was already a sizable debt. I had let him borrow a pretty significant amount of money from my perspective. And it's like, you know, I know that he looks at me as somebody who's got his life together and have done fairly well for myself over the years. But the truth is that No Jumper, in kind of a tricky spot. Obviously, we did the whole going broke narrative, had that whole conversation a couple of weeks ago and everything. But, you know, it's a weird spot to be in because I wish that I could fully support him and that I could kind of make these problems go away. I wish I could just cop the boy out.
Okay, so here go the thing, too. Bricc Baby already owe Adam like 8 bands. How much more debt do you really want Adam to get into?
Lawyer, that would be amazing. But realistically, there's only so much that I could do. And it's like we went weeks where he didn't ask me for anything. So this is kind of like all just sort of like come about over the course of like the last week. I felt like he wasn't asking me because I had just let him borrow more money like right before he got locked up. So I know he probably like didn't really want to ask me for it, but it's like from my perspective, there's got to be a limit on how much I'm really expected to do for somebody who does podcasts on the channel. In particular, because of the fact, and I don't think I mentioned this in the video, but it's like Brick's case doesn't have anything to do with me. You know, it's like, it's not, he didn't catch the case because of anything he did on camera. Even the stuff that did happen on camera that makes his case a little bit worse, like the fact that they pointed out that he had a gun in his waistline on his last time on the podcast right before they arrested him. Like, I didn't know that. I never had a conversation with him about if he was bringing a strap to work or anything like that. But it's not like he got locked up defending me or defending the business or something. Maybe that situation would be a little bit different. You know, this was purely stuff that realistically, like almost everything that he's in trouble for is stuff that happened even before he started working at No Jumper.
Do you think that if he didn't have the $8,000 or so debt to you previous to this incarceration?
You put the dollar amount out there?
I did. I put it in the video. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not, he said that he had...
I think me and Stoney just getting up to speed.
Okay, so in the original, when Bricc got locked up, I guess it was around the time he was first coming over here.
Yeah, it was within like the first month or two that he was doing podcasts on the channel that he basically got the feds running up in his crib. Yeah.
Yeah, so he got busted then, and Adam shot him 5 bands, and then I guess recently you shot him another few bands. So
Yeah.
if you didn't already have that balance, would you think it would be a different situation?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I would probably.
It's hard to loan money to somebody who already owes you money. That is what I will say. It is really hard to loan money to somebody who owes money.
Will it be like more forthcoming in terms of trying to make shit easier on them and everything like that? It's just like when somebody already has a pretty sizable debt to me, it's like I'm just not the kind of person who's just gonna act like $5,000 is not a lot. $5,000 to me is still a shitload, regardless of whatever I got going on. You know?
Well, especially it's got to be kind of weird when you have this relationship. Is in order to have chemistry on a podcast, there has to be a level of friendship. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you have this employer-employee relationship. So it's like,
And forever, it's always unbelievably tricky when you have somebody who's working for you and then you start to become friends, because there's like a certain way that you would like to be able to act for your friends, and then there's a certain way that you consider it appropriate to act with somebody who works for me. You know, and so that's kind of like a tricky balance. And I see a lot of people in the comments who clearly don't understand that is kind of a precarious balance, because, like, you know, people will be looking at it, be like, oh, to Adam, everything is just business. And it's like, well, this is someone who works for the brand. So it's like, yeah, it is kind of business. And at a certain point, it's like, I have to move accordingly, right?
I mean, I'll say this. I've been in so many dire financial situations since I started working here, and I've never once asked No Jumper.
Why does everybody who worked there need to borrow money? Y'all not getting no chili up there? Seems like anytime anybody who works there has a real problem, they got to go ask Adam for money. Y'all not getting no money up there? It's hard up there. Crazy.
You or anybody affiliated with No Jumper for money in any capacity. Just because, like, I feel like it will fuck up potentially the dynamics and the relationships over here if I did that. You know what I mean?
And especially when there's never even a discussion or any kind of like consideration about paying it back, which is obviously the case in this situation. Like, I don't mean to like rub it in or act like it's
So they know, like, oh, I got you on the first type shit?
Nah. And to be fair, I never brought it up. And if I had, then, you know, maybe he would have like tried to.
But when you owe somebody money, they ain't supposed to come looking for it. You're supposed to pay it back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But have you ever been broke and had a rich friend? Never
pretty
been
much
okay.
no to both of those. I never really had a rich friend like prior to all the No Jumpers stuff. I never really had a friend who had more money than me that I was like real friends with, you know? Like I always kind of was like
And nigga Adam said I used to be in top dog around this bitch.
the guy who had like a little bit of money and then all my friends were broke.
I've been broke with rich friends.
Just to be totally real. Like even the BMX days, I kind of always had more money than like pretty much everybody that I was hanging out with, even though at that time, like me having money was like, oh, I had like 10 grand in the bank. You know, it wasn't like I was like killing it or anything.
I think Bricc kind of looking like I'm good as long as I got my boy, my friend that's up some M's. I'm gonna be forever straight, and that's probably his mindset. But he shouldn't be thinking like that. And then if you do, you should keep your credit clean. Like, man, pay it back. You know what I'm saying? So then you can always.
So you can always go back and
You
get
can
it
always
again.
double back because they know you good for it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but the other thing is like the reason why I never said like, yo, can you pay me back on this time of schedule or whatever is because my assumption about how he would go get some money is not really like something that I wanted to like encourage him to do.
Might be a liability.
This is a guy who has been, you know, in the streets for a percentage of his life, pretty much the whole life until recently, I guess. And, you know, I didn't want to like be like, yo, like you got to go do this so that you could help me out. I just figured he would pay it back if he got the chance or whatever. So like, I don't know. I made that video today just to try to like explain that shit to the world. And then in particular, it just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way seeing him say things on a jail call that was so different than the tone that we were dealing with on camera or on the phone when it was just me and him. And then in addition, for Sharp to be making videos and making it like he's got inside information from talking to Bricc, that really pissed me off. Because especially like if me and you are homies, why is someone like Sharp, who is a bottom-dwelling piece of dog shit, why is he coming out with exclusive information that, you know, yeah, part of me thinks like maybe Sharp was just saying that, but then part of me also is like Sharp swearing up and down in the video that he's like, I don't think, I know. You know, when he's making it 100% clear that he knows for a fact that this is how the situation is between me and Bricc, I got to take that a certain way. And if this is really your boy and he's saying that and it's not coming from you, then you should probably have something to say about that.
I think
See, here's one thing though, Adam. How many times has WACK said things that allegedly ain't coming from you, and you ain't have nothing to say about it, bro?
a lot of people's like rebuttal or question that they would have for you in this moment isn't No Jumper kind of like capitalizing, or people think that No Jumper's making a lot of money off of Bricc still. And like this, so he deserves compensation from his name being just so prominently featured.
One thing number one, we're going to talk about what's in the news no matter what. That's just what this business is. So it's like, you know, if Brick's in the news, we're going to talk about Bricc. If it wasn't Bricc, if T-Rail got a fucking murder case tomorrow, then yeah, we're going to make money off talking about T-Rail, you know? But
or Yuri even for that instance.
Or Yuri, yeah. Fingers crossed. Somebody wipes him off the face of the earth. But that being said, I actually feel like, you know, probably the Bricc experiment was not really, I feel like we were probably in the red up until this time period. So like, if anything, us having so many conversations about this on camera was probably like the thing that maybe like bumped it over into the black. But then also like understand that there's a lot of stank on the brand right now. And as illogical as it is from my perspective, there's a lot of people that are not really excited to be on the No Jumper platform because they are kind of looking at it like a Fed adjacent podcast at this point. I've heard this from quite a few people that have been trying to like get us interviews and stuff like that. And from my perspective, this really doesn't make any sense at all because nothing that happened on this podcast has anything to do with why these people are locked up. Now, the fact that they didn't get bail definitely is partially related to it. But, you know, I mean, to be fair, like, it's just, we may have had like a brief bump in views as a result of the RICO, but I also feel like the amount of interviews that we have not gotten to be able to do as a result of this RICO is
because you niggas is hot.
Also pretty significant, and I'm not holding that against him because that's not really like directly his fault or whatever, but there, you know, anytime something weird happens, like in the No Jumper Brawl, the infamous loose cannon No Jumper Brawl, that definitely is an example as well. Like, there was definitely people who did not want to come on the platform as a result of the fact that they saw this vicious beating take place at No Jumper, you know? So, but did we get a temporary burst of views from talking about that fight? Yeah, sure. But it probably...
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that in retrospect,
you know, so, but did we get a temporary burst of views from talking about that fight? Yeah, sure. But it probably wasn't really worth it in the long run.
Do you think that in retrospect, it might have been a good idea, like when he initially got bailed or borrowed that money, that you guys made an arrangement at that moment? Like, hey, we're going to take 10% of every paycheck until this is paid back? Or
that is a good idea. That's the kind of thing that if I was a little bit more business savvy, maybe I would have done that.
Loan department.
type shit.
But honestly, that's the only time that somebody who was like a host, like AD never tried that with me. House phone. While he was at No Jumper, I don't think he ever did that. You know, I've helped him out like at other times financially and stuff, but it was never like that kind of thing. I mean, I never really had somebody who was trying to like do that sort of move with me of like trying to get me to pay for a bunch of stuff, you know? So I don't know.
So he up to 8 bands right now?
Yeah. I'll be real with you. It's not like I'm like thinking that I'm gonna, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna get that 8 bands. No, I have written it off. He
I
can
mean, I would assume that you didn't, you know, whatever, but yeah, you feel me.
have that, or I think it was 7 actually for the record.
He would have been working it off if it was me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I would have said, well, you ain't going to be getting paid for a minute here.
Just trying to chase some little 8 bands.
You already got paid up front, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, people will like take advantage of you as much as they can up until the point, like if they feel like they're able to, they'll just do it. You know, I've seen that a million times. And so for sure, part of it is me just being kind of lax, you know, which is in general on No Jumper. Like, why have so many people been like, why are people able to, you know, swear and smoke and drink and get into all these crazy stuff? Like at the time, remember when like Bricc and DW had like their own podcast and it was just like a total shit show every night?
They each had their own. There's 2 different podcasts.
Yeah, and they were getting money off girls to come advertise their wigs at one point. I mean, that is a direct product of the fact that I just gave them way too long of a leash and was just not instituting any degree of control over it. You know, it's like if you make it that easy for somebody to make money off your platform without cutting you in or whatever, then they're just going to do it. You just have to expect that. So I've kind of like learned that in business is that it almost doesn't count as somebody scamming you if you make it so easy for them to scam you that they
So you just gave it to them.
feel like there's no possibility of a repercussion.
All right, man. We up out here to the next one. Y'all know the deal, though. Red dots to the left. Y'all know the rest. And it's free Avenue Angel too. He's free.